listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all those great shows to get great Patriots content all week long. But tonight, it's the Pats Nation Network. And for us, it is our postgame show, which we normally do right after the game. But Thursday, we had some things come up. I was at the game. Matt was under the weather still. A little post-concussion syndrome. Yes, back in the blue tent. And we're here to talk about Thursday Night Football, Patriots beating the Jets. And so 8 in a row, 9-2, Matt. The Patriots aren't officially in the playoffs, but they're for all intents and purposes, they're officially in the playoffs.
And for those who have a keen eye here watching the show, you may notice the ticker at the bottom is a little bit different. Usually you're going to see the post-game stats down there, but mid-November, Patriots tied at the top of the AFC. We're putting an AFC playoff picture one down there for you. Just so you are reminded of where we are in the seeding. And it's great. Like that, the game on Thursday felt like an opportunity where the Patriots might dominate and get a blowout win. Instead, they came out and played what kind of felt like a mediocre game by their standards this year and still covered the spread.
Yeah.
Against a Jets team that I think, the receivers dropped a lot of balls. Outside of that, I thought they came ready to play. Which then I think shows how far this team has grown, that we're kind of complaining of. Many fans have been complaining about a performance where you cover.
Well, I think that's, and not just cover by like 2, the spread was 11.5, so they covered, and the spread was 11.5 points. So, look, it was not the cleanest game. Obviously, the first drive was horrendous, as it always seems to be with the Patriots. But outside of that first drive, you look at it and you just think, like, this team gets it, and this team is there. I think, at least, coaching wise, mentality wise, their mentality is the correct mentality, right? Robert Swain talking about how, we get the weekend off, but I expect to see a bunch of guys in here lifting and getting treatment because, that's just, we understand that this is the real season. And for him to say something like that, now he's a captain. He's a leader on the team. He's a captain, yeah. He's a captain, yes. So, but he's a leader on the team. And for him to come out and say that, to me, that he's not just blowing smoke. He believes that, and that's what he's expecting his guys to be doing. And I think that makes, that's something that you want to see. It means everyone's buying in, and, this is where we want to be.
Yeah. And I think, I think if you have frustration about this one game, it's by 2 main things: opening drive defense and not really winning the middle 8 the way you hoped you were going to be able to. But, I think you compare this team to the Patriots teams we've seen the last couple seasons. The Patriots teams we've seen the last couple seasons, if they make those mistakes, they're losing the game because they have no ability to overcome them.
Right.
And, what's different about this Patriots team is that they can make mistakes and still win ball games. Like, you just have actual talent. And when you have a quarterback who can, lift everyone above the level they're at, it just gives you so many more options.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with you. And this is, when you talk about where May is playing, and, I just think that this is the exact thing that we were looking for, right? That you say, hey, can we get to these spots? And again, I think 2 weeks in a row, you talk about the middle 8. I think 2 weeks in a row, you really had a chance to stomp on the opposing team's throat, and you weren't able to do it. And that was frustrating for me, right? In the Bucs game, you had a chance, you had an opportunity to do that, and you 2 drives in a row, you don't do anything with the ball. He had the same exact opportunity here going into the half and then getting the ball to start the second half. You miss a field goal. By the way, his first missed kick since week 2. So, I'll let it slide. But, you miss a field goal and then you go 3 and out to start the second half. And you're like, man, if you score on both of those drives, the game's over. Right? So the game's done,
Well, I want to back it up a little bit further than that, because even the possession before that one, you get the ball 6 minutes left in the second quarter, where you're able to move the chains and you pick up a first down. Then you have to punt, from your own 30 with 3.5 minutes left, just because Diggs drops the ball. And it's just, a rarity for you that Stephon Diggs. And it's a difficult play to make. But that's why this is what you expect from Stephon Diggs. These are the plays you expect him to make. It's a play over the middle in between the safeties.
It's fair. I thought he led Diggs into trouble a little bit too much. I thought he could put it on him more and give Diggs an opportunity to take care of himself and not get blown up by the safety. And so, that's
when I agree. I do want to walk through this sequence and the one leading into the half, just because I thought they were interesting to break down kind of what went wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
But the one, May leads Diggs a little bit too far. I think you're 100% correct. There's also more space there. One thing that I found interesting, the Jets played with 2 safeties deep on that play, which is why Diggs is kind of able to attack the middle of the field there. Right. I think that's an adjustment route where if the middle of the field's open, he turns that into a post. But the reason there's so much space is because like the Jets are basically playing two people covering Kyle Williams on a go ball. Like right. One safety is very far over, and I think Drake May just sees too much space there and doesn't think the safety is going to come over and make a play on Diggs. That said, Diggs gets both hands on the ball, and the hit doesn't come until after he would have caught it. Right. So I think that's when you want to make the catch. Also, they called holding on it, so even if
it wouldn't have mattered anyways, right?
Which I thought was a very weak hold. You can't see
it
from
wasn't,
the broadcast.
It wasn't a holding call. It was a snatch and trap. It's exactly. So frustrating, man.
They call those holds now, which is really annoying. For those who don't know, the snatch and trap is basically when an offensive lineman is able to grab on to like the chest of a defender and pull them down, which I think is technically holding, but has always been one of those things is like, hey, if you're good enough to do it, we'll let you do it. And now they're flagging it sometimes. So tough break. The sequence before the half, I will caveat this. I thought Will Campbell, generally speaking, had a very good game. The sequence before the half, he basically just torpedoes easily his worst sequence of the night. And I was kind of shocked watching the tape because it's first down. Well, first of all, first down is a too many men penalty on the Jets.
Which is insane.
On the first play of a possession, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But then it's a run for only 1 yard because Will Campbell gets pretty badly beaten by Will McDonald off the edge and it blows it up. Campbell gets called for a holding penalty on the next play, which backs them up. And then the next play ends up being a check down. It's a check down because you only have like 3 guys releasing on routes because you're chipping. It's an immediate Will Campbell holds. And the next play, Josh McDaniels is calling for a chip on that side. So right. There's less receivers open. So you have to take a check down, which Trevion Henderson does well on. Then May gets sacked on a play where the blindside rusher comes off of Will Campbell's side. I'm not going to necessarily give this to Will Campbell. It may have been on Drake May for incorrectly calling the protection. But still, you end up having 6 blockers against 6 rushers, and Campbell blocks with someone else and leaves a free rusher. So I don't love the play there. That doesn't end up mattering because Brandon Stevens decides to keep 2 hands on Mac Hollins 15 yards down the field for some reason. So thank you.
Insane.
Stevens. Yeah. And then that's kind of the sequence dies a little bit after that. There's another check down again because you got guys chipping and ends on a long, it was a 45-yard missed field goal.
Yeah. What's interesting is that from that, so in warmups, from that hash, which is the left hash as he's going in, from the left hash, I was watching him. He hooked all of his field goals.
And is that coming towards you?
Coming towards me, yes. So he hooked them all. He missed the first one because he hooked it left. So then he adjusted, aimed a little bit right, and hooked it in. And he did this like 3 times in warmups. And I'm thinking, okay, like he's just hooking from that spot. He kicked it from that spot, anticipated the hook, didn't get it, and just kicked it wide right. And so that's like
I think I've been there off the first tee a couple times.
100%, right? It's one of those golf things where you're like, oh, I'm playing the hook, and you just never get it. And it's like he did it like 6 times, and he did it like literally 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, oh, he's just hooking it from that spot. That's like his plan, and it just never hooked. And I'm like, okay, great, that's awesome. So it just is what it is, and that's going to happen sometimes. It was, I think he had hit. I think I read he had hit like 33 straight kicks between extra points and field goals. It's like he's going to miss every now and again. He's not going to make every single one for the rest of the season. It just is what it is. He made another field goal after that too. So it's actually he made 2, right? Made 2 of the field goals. So
one of them from 44 yards. So that's basically
about the same.
So,
yeah.
And if this becomes a pattern of him missing those in cold weather, then maybe there'll be a concern. But right now it's 1. So I'm just
correct.
Doesn't even deserve a reaction in my eyes, especially when you go on and make 2 later in the ball game. But second half. Should we talk about generally the defense in this game, and especially in the second half?
Yeah, the defense in the second half. I mean, like, was okay, pretty solid. I thought played well. I mean, you look at what, and listen, it's the Jets, right? It's the Jets. Like, Justin Fields can't throw the football. And he had some success again. Now, I mean, he threw for 116 yards, but he had some success against the Patriots. I think that I was a little concerned at times with the defense. I thought the way that they played Fields was frustrating at times. I didn't like that. But for the most part, the defense stepped up and played well, I thought.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the touchdowns that you give up, one of them is on the first possession of the game, which, like, that's just been a weakness all year. That's kind of par for the course for you at this point. And then the other one, you bring up blitz and Craig Woodson trips, and guys left all alone because of it. And even then, Fields is hitching before he releases the ball when there's not a standing player around the receiver. He still almost doesn't complete that play for you. So the defense, I think, adjusted. It's not perfect, but concerns about losing Milton Williams and what that's going to mean for you. I do think the rest of the defensive tackles that have played well for you. Problem is the Milton Williams is your best defensive lineman. So even if the other guys play well relative to expectations, it's still going to be worse.
Yeah, I agree. And you also wonder too, like, is some who's seeing, like, we don't want to put too much on film for Lamar Jackson, like we're playing Lamar Jackson or whatever. I don't know if that's necessarily, if that makes any sense. But I just feel like, are we going to our plays, I don't know. Are we going to our plays in this situation? I don't, who knows? But that's,
When there was, I have to review the defense a little bit more thoroughly, but there was a play early where, like, they had Mapu spying and he just totally loses Fields. So that's, I want to go back with a closer eye and see, where they were spying and how it worked. You also get a lot of Jets receivers dropping balls in this game. I don't know if you saw, was it Mike Renner who put up the A.D. Mitchell?
Oh, it was incredible.
Cut up. It's so funny. It's a highlight reel of A.D. Mitchell. It's like here's A.D. Mitchell dusting New England secondary, and every single clip he cuts it right before he actually has to interact with the football because they're all drops. Like, that reminds me of my old Nelson Aguilar take that he's one of the best players in football as long as he doesn't have to actually interact with the ball in any way.
Right. And it's one of those things, man. A.D. Mitchell, I think, has some talent. But and I think the back shoulder one that he dropped, I think was that was a miscommunication thing, I think. So I think that was more miscommunication than there was anything else. But the deep pass, you feel like, I mean, Gonzo's right there. He makes a play on the football, like, as he's, but it's not even like he drops it because Gonzo gets his hands in there. He just dropped it, and then Gonzo got his hands in there. And so it's like, he's there, But like, it's just that's the way it goes. And listen, you're a corner, you're going to get beat sometimes. Like you're not going to pitch a shutout every single game. It's just not going to happen. And so I thought, Gonzo was good as he always is, but you're going to get beat occasionally. And he did. And again, him getting beat is him right there getting his hand in as the ball's coming in. Just like is what it is,
Yeah. Speaking of guys getting beat, who didn't get beat, Del Pettis on that fourth down at the end of the game. He's had a couple of these late plays against tight ends when they've used him kind of in that tight end stopper role.
Yep.
I think they're still trying to figure out the best way to cover tight ends in their like base defense. And we've seen Marty Mapu get the tight end stopper role in man coverage. We've seen Del Pettis get it. I think the question is, can you trust any of those guys to go out there and basically play the linebacker in your nickel defense and also play that role? I haven't yet, but I wonder if we get close to that point here. And, you look ahead to the playoffs and the teams ahead of you right now. Like you're not worried about a tight end necessarily in Denver, although Evan Engram is a pretty decent player. That's a solid player. But Tyler Warren for the Colts is, maybe the engine of that offense in the passing game right now. What he has done for them has been incredible in that role. Baltimore, they get in Mark Andrews. The Bills have a couple different tight ends that can kill you. The Chargers have Aranda Gadsden. Just looking at the ticker scrolling by here, I don't remember who the Jaguars have at tight end.
A whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah, the Texans have Schultz, who's fine. Chiefs obviously have Kelsey. So
you got to build 2 guys.
Yeah, and Isaiah Likely too. And it's just one of those things where you don't want to be in a spot where you keep getting into 3rd and 4 in a critical playoff game, and they just keep hitting the tight end and you can't get them off.
Right, because you can't.
So that's something that concerns me. So Del Pettis giving you a good play there is all right, that's something to think about for that situation.
Well, and Vrabel gave him a shout out to the game, right? And said he was good. He made the most of his opportunities, and we know what happens when you do that, right? And so, I think that the Patriots, we'll see.
Can I? We'll talk about the defense. Can I do a call out on the first drive defense stuff?
Sure.
Obviously, it has not been good for New England, and in fact, it's been quite bad. But for some context, Ben Solak wrote an article last week in ESPN talking about this, how first drive offense in the NFL is historically good this year. Basically, if you look at quote unquote the script, the plays an offensive coordinator calls out in advance saying these are the ones we want to run early because we think we're going to be really good against this team, roughly the first 15 plays of a game. That has been better than anything else recently in the NFL. That's significantly better. So it's not just us. Obviously, we're still worse than a lot of other teams, but it's not just us on that front. And the Jets, I think in particular, are a team that has done well on first drives, and the offense has totally petered out after that.
Yeah, and I think I believe I read that the Patriots have given up almost 50% of their points that they've allowed all season long have come on the first or second drive of the game. Which is just insane to think about. But because their defense has been very good outside of those first early drives. And, it's just, unfortunately, the Patriots. But the problem that I have, and again, this is when you talk about getting in the playoffs, this is not a criticism of a 9-2 football team. The Patriots defense, the Patriots in general have played incredible this year, right? They've been awesome. But we're now 9-2. We're looking to the playoffs. I care about now, how do you win in the playoffs? And when you win in the playoffs, it's tough to win in the playoffs if you're going down 7-0 automatically. And so that's something that hopefully they can fix.
Yeah. When you do look at the Patriots right now are 8th in the NFL in points scored. They are 5th in points allowed. Mm-hmm. Defense is doing a good job. They're 6th in points per drive on defense, 8th in points per drive on offense. They're top 10 on both sides of the ball there. And I think this defense has been far from perfect. The pass defense has not been spectacular, to say the least. They've given up a lot of soft stuff.
Right.
They've been they've been streaky, but more on than off. And
Correct.
it feels bad on some of these drives where it's like, man, we can't get a stop against Dylan Gabriel. We can't get a stop against Justin Fields. And you look at the end of the game and it's like, oh, well, you only gave up 14 points.
Right. And that's, listen, yes, ultimately the defense has been fine, but you do wonder about, and you want to correct those mistakes early on. And it's just, that's the way it goes. But what are you going to do? Also, a few people have asked about this question. Milton Williams is out not only for the Bills game, but also for the Ravens game. It is not 4 weeks. It is 4 games. And so he is guaranteed to be out for both of those games, both the Bills and the Ravens game, which isn't good. But I also want him to be healthy because, again, the playoffs are what matter at this point of the season. Now, obviously, you want to win both of those games, but the most important thing is that you have him back for the postseason. And, I don't want to rush him back because we got to try to win one of those games.
The flip side is that if you win one of those games, you have, basically guaranteed that you're winning the division and have a very good shot at the overall 1 seed in the AFC. Indianapolis is, half game back of you right now with the bye, but the Colts have a very hard schedule the rest of the way.
Yes, they do.
Denver has an easier schedule. Denver might only lose one more game the rest of the way. We'll see how they play. So, it's kind of I think it's kind of New England and Denver right now for the 1 seed, which is crazy. It's like, all right, hardest game for New England left is going to be at Baltimore, I think. Hardest game left for Denver is at Kansas City. So it might kind of come down to all right, can the teams win their home games and then who wins one of those?
Right.
It'll be tough not having Milton Williams, but next man up.
Yep. That's the way it goes.
We have him back for the playoffs.
Jack was asking about playoff tiebreakers. I think is it conference record?
It's conference record. So, if you're from that perspective, the best game you could lose the rest of the way if you had to lose one is the Giants one because it won't touch the tiebreaker.
Right. So, but you feel like if they lose the Giants game, that doesn't bode well for them moving forward.
Yes. But hey, if you have, you can have one bad game.
That's true.
2004 Patriots lost to that Miami Dolphins.
That's very true. That is very true.
And this year's Patriots also lost to Vegas at home. So
it's a great point. Great point. So,
you mentioned learning from mistakes. Can I call out one fun thing I saw in the film this week?
Yes, please do.
Have not gotten through all of it yet, but I did find this fun thing. So there's a play, first or second drive. New England it's the first drive because that first quarter flies by. It kind of seems like a nothing play. Patriots are down near the red zone. Drake May drops back, looks around, can't find anything, scrambles, only picks up 4 yards, sets up third down.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch the play and the way it's designed. You basically, on one side of the field, you got 2 receivers. And the slot is going to run a little choice route, the Julian Edelman special. You're going to run about 3 or 4 yards, and then you can cut in, out, or stop, just read off the defender. And it's pop in that role. The backside of the play ends up being what's basically known as a dagger concept. You've probably seen that in Madden. One of the guys runs a vertical route. The guy outside of him runs a big in-breaker, and the vertical route should clear out a little room so there's space on the in-breaker. You use that against zone a lot. Mm-hmm. And to the first time they run this, May's looking at pop on the choice route. It's like match coverage, so it's pop one-on-one with, I believe, a linebacker or a safety, and he just ends up not shaking him. May sees that he didn't win, and he just says, I'm going to take off. But when you watch it back, you notice that Mac Hollins is running the dig, and he ends up being wide open because the space is cleared and it's his zone coverage. And if May keeps his eyes down the field, instead of scrambling, he has that if he throws that. When you come back in, I think it's the second quarter. Yeah, it's leading up to the Trevion Henderson touchdown run, the second one to go up 14-7.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, and on one of those plays, same formation, same concept. May looks at Pop Douglas on the choice route, doesn't separate, starts to scramble, and guess who's open on the dig? Mac Hollins. And this time he looks for it and finds him. And I just love that. It's like, all right, you ran this once, you miss an opportunity, you come back to the same play and fix what you did wrong the first time. And if there's one, like, I mean, May has been consistently very good at keeping plays alive and looking downfield as a passer to make plays, even when he's scrambling with his arm. And yeah, I think if there's one criticism of him, it's that I think he can do that even more. There's a lot of plays on tape where he steps up in the pocket and starts to scramble. And when he's 2 yards short of the line of scrimmage, defenders are reacting to him running and guys are coming open down the field. And it's like, all right, if he just took an extra beat there with his eyes down the field, there's plays to be made. And I just love seeing him, show growth on a specific concept of that during a game that ends up leading to on a drive that leads to a score to take the lead for good in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's, when I look at May as he kind of, and by the way, I thought his best drive of the night was the touchdown drive where he ends up throwing the touchdown pass to Travion Henderson. And you just, you're watching that drive and he's just, the back-to-back throws to Diggs where he's able to step up in the pocket, make throws on the run, then the one where he's running outside and the second before he steps out of bounds, he flips it to Diggs for the first down. Like, those are your MVP type plays, right? Like, that's an MVP play. Like, okay, like this is why people are talking about him as the MVP of the league. And, that's the exact type of stuff that you want to see from Drake May. And I think, learning from the mistakes or being able to keep his eyes downfield is kind of why he is where he is right now. And I think that, this is kind of who Drake May is at this point. And it's pretty awesome. And I thought he was good on Thursday night. I didn't think he was great on Thursday night. But that's me. That's how I feel about it. But
yeah. No,
but,
it's
partly because we hold him to such a high standard.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like it's the Jets. So I think after so many years of playing them in New England, there's just kind of this expectation that you play the Jets, you're going to win 50-10. It's like there's a lot of games where the Patriots are squeaking games out against mediocre Jets teams in history because they're division opponents and they know you well, and it's hard to win by a lot in the NFL. All these guys are good. They're basically all good players in the grand scheme of things here. So it's like I'm watching back some of these clips now. Yeah, he was so good on that drive. And the first play of that drive is a big in-breaker to Mac Hollins, too. It's the same concept, dressed up differently, but it's the
jumps. Ooh, he got up there for that one.
He did, yeah. Which it's clear that he's like that's why he likes throwing to those big bodies, because it gives you a little bit more room for error. He's been so good at layering in throws in between defenders, and then when you add that, like, okay, well now he can do it to Hunter Henry, and he can do it to Mac Hollins, two guys who are bigger and like. They give you more margin for error to make those throws, to attempt those throws. If you're trying to, if you got a zone defender underneath and one, deeper. All right, well, if I feel like I can throw this a foot above his head and he's still going to make the catch, well, he's open, even if it's a tight window throw. And then he makes those throws.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And the throw to Diggs where he's scrambling kind of, and looking downfield and finding him.
Yeah.
We talk about learning from mistakes. What was it, a couple weeks ago? He's got one hand on the football and it's getting knocked away. That one, he's stepping up through traffic and he's got both hands on it. Like it's the little things. You really don't see him make the same mistake twice that often.
It's true. It's very true. He learns from those mistakes. He really does. And I love it. I love he's like a sponge almost, where, they rave about him, in the film room and in the classroom and, in practice, and learning from those things. It's huge.
Yeah. Yep. And, the situational football in this one isn't necessarily perfect, like especially the middle eight and the end of half execution. But also, I love the resiliency to bounce back. You don't score in the first drive of the second half. And it's like, all right, where the Jets are hanging around, this game could get uncomfortable for you. And it just doesn't. You go down and score. Jets score again. They end up keeping it a 1-score game. All right, you drive down and you get in a field goal range and you make it a 2-score game. And I think especially once it got to a 2-score game there, I just never really felt like the Jets were going to get back in. It was at that point, it was like, all right, if the Jets don't force a turnover, this game is probably over because their offense can't really score quickly, reliably.
Right.
Just not really that worried about it.
Right. It's true. Also, James says the shock teacher approves of personal learning. I agree. All right. You want to do a quick ad read and then we'll continue with our conversation here?
Let's do it.
All right. This ad read, of course, is for Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Again, Patriots this week, another big game this week. They're all big games this week. But it's going to be, it's even more fun when you get Prize Picks going on. And my favorite thing that the app does is they are the only app that offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can pick more on Drake May passing yards and rushing yards and touchdowns. Now you can pick them all in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You might want to do that this week against the Bengals too, because that Bengals defense is terrible. Follow all the Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. So what you're going to do is download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks. And you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay. All right. So one thing, just kind of big picture here, and I talked about this a little bit, I think, leading up to the game. Just big picture wise, I really am kind of getting this 0-1 vibe from this team, right? And again, it's the free agents. It's the rookies contributing, right? It's all of those things combined into one. It's the fact that expectations were low, and this team is has reached those expectations and blown right past them. That 0-1 team is very similar. Now you got to remember now that 0-1 team got extremely lucky down the stretch. Very good team. But they got extremely lucky down the stretch. You had the David Patton unconscious out of bounds electricity rule where he just his head was out of bounds and he fumbled the ball, but the ball was touching him. And so therefore it was still Patriots ball. You had, and then Antoine Smith runs it in for a touchdown after that. You had all these different plays where it was my goodness, the Patriots are just hanging around. They get a bye because of it. You of course have the tuck rule, right? And it's then you go to Pittsburgh, and it's you score, you block a punt, you block a field goal in return for a touchdown, and you return a punt for a touchdown too. And it's this is the stuff for me that the Patriots, need to be able to do this year if they're going to actually make a run. I do think that they have the ability to play with anyone. I think I'm excited because I feel like they can play with anyone. I just don't know if they can beat any of those teams without having something. And, this is what happens. To win the Super Bowl, you got to get lucky a little bit at least. And the Patriots are going to need some help. But it feels like that 0-1 team where it's we're building something and you can see it,
Well, I think if you were to point out a difference there, it's that 0-1 team was, especially in the playoffs, and they'd forced a lot of turnovers, a lot of defensive and special teams, big plays. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen as many with this year's team. Patriots are net 0 turnovers on the season, 12-12. I think that's one thing that goes under discussed about this winning streak. The game against Carolina, no turnovers on either side. You win the turnover battle in Buffalo. You win it in New Orleans and Tennessee. But the Browns game, it's 2-2. Against Atlanta, you lose at 2-0. In Tampa, you lose the turnover battle 1-0.
Yep.
Like you go to Tampa, lose the turnover battle, and win the game.
Right.
In a game you probably
Pretty
should have
wild.
won by 2 scores without a garbage time touchdown in there.
Yeah.
So, pretty impressive stuff there. And I think it tells you that, like, all right, if you're able to, I think if you want to see the defense take things to another level, it's just going to be forcing turnovers more often. I think if you're going to do that, you're going to need the pass rush to be a little bit more impactful. But I think more importantly, like, I look at the safeties, I look at the linebackers. Your middle of the field defenders just need to be a little bit more opportunistic. I think that's my take on it. And that can get you to that point. And like when you have Marcus Jones in the kicking game, that's always going to be a threat. I think Trevion Henderson in the kick return game can also be a threat for you. We saw that in the preseason. We have not seen that in the regular season, but it only takes one.
Well, and that's, yeah.
I think the ingredients are absolutely there to kind of turn on that magic in the playoffs. We just got to actually do it.
Also, Randy, I was a senior in high school in 01. I watched all the games. I had season tickets. I was at every home game. Don't tell me I wasn't old enough to watch 01. I was there. I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I said I'm getting 01 vibes because of what they're doing. Like that's not like like yeah, I know. I watched it. I was there. Like, it's fine. But again, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that, but my point is that it's a team that significantly overperformed where we expected them to be. And it's a team that, in my opinion at least, is running off of vibes, is running off of, everything is good, right? Everything is doing well, right? And again, and obviously the league has changed, right? They were a running team. Like, hello, yeah, it was 2001. Like
every team was a running team.
You know what I mean? Like that's, the league is set up a little bit differently now. And so, anyways, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that I like what they're doing. I think they're in this beginning of the rebuild. I also like that they didn't give up any assets at the trade deadline. Although we'll see what happens with that, but I just don't know what. I guess we can make the argument about Jalen Phillips, or someone like that. But it's just, what are you gonna do? It is what it is. And I think that I like too that we didn't give up too much.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the AFC picture here? Because I think we got the game on Thursday, and I think we got to sit back today.
Yep.
And watch the rest of the league. I mean, this is the first time. And the Patriots, as Patriots fans, we're going to get to do that a little bit here. We got to do it this Sunday. Then the Sunday of Thanksgiving, Patriots don't play, so we'll be able to sit and watch the league. And the week after that, we have a bye, so we'll be able to do that too. So we'll be able to sit and watch the rest of the league and start to do stuff. Should we start with this Kansas City-Denver game? Because I think that has the most implications for New England.
Yeah, what a wild game. What a wild game.
I think my first takeaway from this, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are in their 2005 New England Patriots era. That 05 Patriots team basically couldn't get out of their own way for the first 10 weeks. They started at 5-5, I think, or 6-5 or something like that. And then they got hot at the end of the season, had a winning streak going into the playoffs. But, with a Teddy Bruschi stroke and the guys being hurt and Peyton finally gets one over on you in Foxborough. It was like, oh man, okay, so this is the year things are just not going our way, and you still get into the playoffs, still win the AFC East that year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feels like it's just one of those years for Kansas City, especially the similarity of all right, you don't have Rashee Rice and some of your receivers at the beginning of the season. I think is similar to not having Bruschi in 05.
It was yes, I agree. It's a bizarre. It was a bizarre kind of setup and situation, I thought. And the Chiefs just look out of sorts at times. They just have not been effective. And so, as a Patriots fan, we should be rooting so hard for that team to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't care where they are. They might sneak into the playoffs as the 7 seed. You do not want to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs.
Well, if there's, especially if they sneak in as the 7 and they got to play at like Indy in the first round, it's like, all right, the Chiefs might be straight up favored in a 7-2 game
Right.
on the road.
Right.
What's funny is there's a lot of, smart people who do a lot of good football analytics stuff who actually say this Chiefs team is better than last year's team. It's just the difference is last year's team went like 10-0 in 1-score games, and I think the
Yeah.
Chiefs are. I think all 5 losses are by 1 score this year, and it's like, all right, like the difference is the things that went right for them last year aren't. And
Correct.
here's the thing, I think the Chiefs on a neutral field would be favored against most teams in the AFC. The problem is that because they've lost so many games, at this point, if they're making the playoffs, it's going to be road games for them almost the entire time. So it's like, all right, now you've dug yourself a hole here. And I thought Denver looked excellent. The offense isn't spectacular, but the defense is excellent.
Oh, the defense is so good. So good. And if
without
they get
Patrick Surtain.
Well, that's the thing. And if they get home field advantage, this is where it becomes interesting, because if the Broncos get home field advantage, that's a scary place to play. It gets extremely loud. And we saw this in 2013 with the Patriots, and we saw it again in 2015 with the Patriots. I think more so in 2015 than 2013. But
we also saw it in 2005. But
well, that's true. That is true. But I can't even talk about that game. But if you have to go to a silent count against that defense, leading the NFL in sacks, coming after you nonstop, that's a recipe for disaster. And so you have to find a way to hopefully they lose a game or two and you're able to, to beat out, and maybe win out or lose only one of your remaining games. They lose 2 and you get the number 1 seed or even the number 2 seed, but you're not going to Denver. I don't want to go to Denver. I really would rather not go to Indianapolis. They're going to pump in the crowd noise if they're not loud enough. Both those defenses are very good. But it was a really fascinating game. I think, that the rematch in Kansas City is going to be interesting, especially since it's the second to last week of the season. And that's like the Chiefs at that point, if they lose another game, if they lose this weekend or this upcoming, like next weekend to Indianapolis, the Chiefs are going to be on the ropes. They're going to be on the ropes, and they don't really have another tough game until they get to Denver. But there could be a situation where those other and I know Houston is a decent team, but there could be a situation where you look at it and say, "Oh my God, like they might miss the playoffs if they don't win that game against Denver," and then that becomes the biggest game of the season for them.
Yeah, which that week has that game, and it also has Eagles at Bills, which 2 very interesting Week 17 games right now.
Yes.
That I will say the schedule down the stretch here looks unbelievable. There's some maybe it's just that the Patriots are relevant, so all these games now matter to us and who we can play in the playoffs and where we might play in the playoffs.
Right.
But it's a great schedule down the stretch. But yeah, I was having that nightmare today watching Denver's defense with 3-4 front. The 2 edge rushers who jump the way they do off the ball. I do not want Will Campbell to have to face Nick Benito with a silent count in a playoff game. No, thank you. That does not seem like something that ends well for us.
Well, and I agree.
Or Morgan Moses on the other side too. These are not that's not a tackle pairing that's gonna win against that edge rush of Denver.
No. And this is like, this honestly, for me at least, I come back to, who knows? There's a long way to go, but it's funny when you look at where the Patriots are headed and who they might play. And then, okay, what do the matchups look like? And who are the guys, but those are the 2 toughest matchups for me, at least. If I look at it, I just think those 2 matchups are very difficult. And again, you don't want to have to play those on the road because those are hostile environments. That those teams are coming for you. And listen, I don't love Bo Nix. I don't love Bo Nix, but he's
good enough.
He's good, and he is not afraid. He's not afraid at all. You got to give that to him at least. He's just not afraid at all. And that part of it, to me at least, you know, I think he makes big plays in big games, right? And similar to what Drake May is doing, I think Drake May is having a significantly better season than Bo Nix. I think he's a better player than Bo Nix. But
Bo Nix doesn't have to do as much because he's got that defense.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So
can I throw another take at you while we're doing the AFC playoff stuff?
Also, TD is saying that Bo Nix can't throw over 10 yards. Did we see the last play of the game? Like literally the last play of the game to put them to like end the game and put them into field goal range. Like it's a 20-yard pass downfield in double coverage. Like, yeah, he can.
He does. Yeah, so. He takes those. He's taken a lot more of those shots.
Right. He's not a dump day. He's not a check down guy. Like he's not. I thought he was. He's not. He's an aired out guy. Sometimes to a fault.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's the thing with Bo Nix going back to college is that he has that like that gene in him that's just like that voice in his head telling him push it down the field,
right.
Break out of structure and make a big play.
Yeah.
Except he
it's like, bro, freshman year of Auburn.
I think it was his freshman year of Auburn. He was kind of known for making those dumb plays.
Right.
And the revelation was him at Oregon in that offense was like, all right, if you take this guy and put him in a structure, all of a sudden it works. If we're only going to ask him to make those plays 10% of the time, then it cuts down on the bad decisions he makes in those plays.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have a somewhat hot take. I don't think I want to say that this will happen. I just want to put this out there that I think this is something more possible than people think right now.
Let's hear it.
The Colts might not win the division. Have you seen the Colts schedule the rest of the way?
I know it's rough. Go ahead. List it out.
At the Chiefs. They're not going to be favored in that one. They host Houston. They play at Jacksonville. They play at Seattle. They host San Francisco. They host Jacksonville. They play at Houston.
Mm-hmm.
What makes me say this is that they're up on Houston right now by 3 games. They're up on Jacksonville by 2.5.
Right? I think, yeah.
Or it might be 2.5 with 5. I don't remember. They have not played either of those teams yet this season. If either of those teams is able to get a sweep of Indy and the Colts drop a couple of those other ones, like there's a world here where the Colts lose the Chiefs game and they lose the Seattle game, and one of those 2 AFC South teams sweeps them.
That'd be pretty wild if that happened. That'd be pretty wild.
One is just like, if Daniel Jones turns into a pumpkin a little bit here, and I have to say this take is somewhat influenced by watching Sam Darnold play today, and it's like, all right, well, I don't think Daniel Jones is as good as Sam Darnold. And if Sam Darnold, with another year of experience here, playing at a high level in an offense, can still have one of these games on the road where he's just in over his head, Daniel Jones can absolutely do that. And I think the Texans might be one of the most underrated teams in football right now. They're 5-5, but I think they have the best defense in football by points allowed. They haven't lost a game by more than 8 points. The tough thing is just they have no offensive line, and CJ Stroud's hurt right now and has not been playing well when he has been healthy. And their next 3 games, they host the Bills on Thursday Night Football this week, and I don't think Stroud's going to be back for that. Then they go to Indy. That's when they go to Indy, and then they go to Kansas City. So we're going to kind of know what Houston is in the next 3 games here. But if they come out of that 2-1 with one of those wins being over Indy, and Indy loses to Kansas City, I think that might be alive as a possibility, or at least, last week of the season is Indy at Houston.
True.
And there's a chance that's a live game with very real playoff implications, which I think could be a lot of fun.
It's pretty fascinating. I mean, it's a fascinating take, and I think that, Houston's not good, right? Don't think that Houston's actually a good team. Their defense is very good. Very good. The problem is when they have no offense. They have no offense. No offensive line really is what they have. They have 0 offensive line. And so when you play a team that can rush the passer at all, they just can't play offense. And so then they're forced to just try to unleash Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And Will Anderson's been incredible this year. I think Will Anderson has a legitimate case for Defensive Player of the Year this year.
And if Houston were to like make a playoff push here, Will Anderson's going to be a significant contender for that award.
Right.
He's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you look at these are Houston's losses this year. They started out 0-3. They lost by 5 at the Rams, the team at the top of the NFC right now, at the end of the game. They lost by 1 at Tampa at the end of the game. So at home against Tampa at the end of the game. They lost by 7 at Jacksonville. They had I think 2 turnovers in Jacksonville territory in the fourth quarter, and Jacksonville scored to take the lead in the fourth quarter. They lost at Seattle by 8, and they lost at home against Denver by 3. Every single one of those teams is in the playoffs right now. Every single one of those losses is by a score. Most of them are on the road.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, if you get a little bit of regression to the you just need to get a little bit more out of your offense. And a lot of that's going to be like, all right, you kind of need Stroud to come back and start playing well immediately. And I don't know if I have confidence in that. And their schedule is brutal too. They got the next 3: Bills, at Colts, at Chiefs. Cardinals, Raiders is easier, but then you still finish at Chargers and against the Colts. Like it's an uphill battle for them, but they're at 500 right now, and if they're able to finish the season with 10 wins, that might be enough.
Yeah. And so really what it comes down to is, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's kind of a race to the end here. And the Texans are only 5-5, Jags are 6-4, and you just I look to it, you look at a team like the Chargers. They were 7-3 coming in today, and they got absolutely mollywopped by the Jaguars.
And I'm not convinced the Jaguars are any good.
No, same. And so that's the thing. It's like I'm sitting here like, what the hell are we doing? So, the Chargers too, like they don't have an offensive line. Their defense is fine, but not great. And it's just those are the things that, when I look at around the rest of the league, I start to think, okay, if you start doing the math, well, Pats and Bills are in the playoffs. One of the Steelers and Ravens are in the playoffs. That's 3. Maybe the other team's able to hold on and get in. Fine. So there's 4. Someone's making it from the AFC South. If 2 teams make it from the AFC South, you see what I'm saying? Now we're trying to do the calculus to get them. All right, well, the Broncos probably going to win the AFC West. Now you need what you're looking for is for the Steelers or the Ravens, depending on who wins that division, to hold on and win enough games to make the playoffs anyways. The Jaguars or the Texans to hold on and win enough games to have more wins than the Chiefs, or the Chargers to hold on and win. Now there's 4 teams. There's 4 options. And you only need 2 of those teams to do it. But those teams all stink. So that's the problem. Is that those teams suck, and you're like the Chiefs are. I don't want to say the Chiefs are in the playoffs, but I would say the Chiefs should be minus money to make the playoffs because
and they are.
And they should be, because the teams in front of them, you have to think are not going to keep doing what they're doing. And
now the problem for them is the teams ahead of them. It's the Jaguars. The Chiefs lost to the Jaguars. It's the Chargers. Right. The Chiefs lost to the Jaguars.
True.
It's the Bills. Chiefs lost to the Bills.
True.
They don't have tiebreakers. The Athletics playoff simulator right now, which I've been looking at, it has the Chiefs out now. It has them finishing 10-7 in a 3-way tie with the Chargers and Jaguars and missing. I'm assuming the head-to-head tiebreakers come in there. The playoff picture with their sim has the Patriots as the 1 seed, then Colts, Broncos, Ravens, Bills, Chargers, Jaguars. So you'd have Jaguars at Colts, Chargers at Broncos, Bills at Ravens. I think you'd feel pretty good about 2 and 3 seeds winning their home games there.
Yeah,
because I think the Chargers are a team that could have been a contender to finish first in the AFC if their offensive line was healthy. And now that they're not, I just don't. They're firmly a tier 2 team at best to me. And the Jaguars, I just don't think they're actually very good. They just have won a couple close games, and
right.
They're not bad either. They're just mediocre.
Yeah, they're fine.
So that in the AFC would set up a scenario with Broncos at Colts, which we already got earlier this year in a game that people had no idea was going to be as impactful in the seeding as it ended up being.
Yeah.
And the Patriots hosting the Bills-Ravens winner,
Right.
which would be fun as hell. And then just for
not the ideal scenario.
Yeah. But the other side of this, the NFC, Rams with the 1 seed, Eagles and Lions with the 2 and the 3. So this game being played right now, very impactful there. Bucks is the 4, and then Seahawks, Niners, Packers, which I look at the 6 and 7 seeds here. It's like Chargers and Jaguars getting in would feel like congrats on what you did early in the season. Now take this first round.
Now go get destroyed. Right.
Yeah. And 49ers and Packers kind of feels like the same thing in the NFC. I don't think the Packers are bad, but that team has been so injured that
right.
I just wouldn't trust them. And it kind of sets up the scenario where your 5 versus 4 game in each conference would be electric. Seahawks, Bucks, Bills, Ravens, and then it just sets up, really good divisional round on both sides if favorites end up winning.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, anyways, it's interesting. And that's a situation where, listen, we're talking about the Patriots. I love what the Patriots are doing. I love it. I think they can play with and potentially beat any team in the NFL. However, if the Patriots had to play the winner of the Bills-Ravens game at home after the bye, I wouldn't love it. I'm not saying they're going to lose. There's a long way to go to get to that point anyways, right? But that scares me, worries me. Well, it just does.
I think that's just life in the AFC. You get to the playoffs, you're playing good teams. And that's like, I look at Denver and Indy. First of all, I'm a little bit skeptical about Indy. I don't think they're bad. I think they're very good. I also, when I see offenses that are built more on, the scheme than the quarterback, I feel like those are always the ones that's like, all right, you can be good in the regular season, but the second you get a good defensive play caller with time to study what you do,
right,
it'll end up coming back to how good's the quarterback. And if the quarterback's not that good, well, thanks for trying. Good luck next year. And they might be one of those, but like Denver's defense, man, like even if that game's in New England, there's part of me that's like,
worries me,
knowing how flawed Baltimore and like Baltimore almost lost to the Browns today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur each playing at half. Shedeur went 4 of 16, and the Browns almost won that game. And then you look at the Bills. This is a very imperfect Bills team.
Yeah,
like it's Josh Allen. That's the team right now. And obviously, it's scary to face some of those quarterbacks in the playoffs when it's like, all right, if the guy on the other team goes superhuman, there's nothing you can really do about it. But in some ways, you'd almost rather take your chances with that than with a defense that can blanket you across the board the way Denver does. And I do think you look across the landscape of the NFL, like is defense back? Yeah, there's a world where this could be like a Denver versus LA Super Bowl. Like those could be the 1 seeds right there, Denver and LA. And it's like, oh, well, these are 2 of the top defenses. And that's what's going to win it. And Seattle even. I think Seattle's going to have a tough time now because it looks like they're probably going to have to go on the road. And I don't trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs. But that defense is still elite. That defense, it's a defense that can get you to a Super Bowl. That's for sure.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. There's a long way to go. Also, we're going to have to at some point, but Randy was giving us crap because we had the Patriots winning 7 games.
Deservedly. I think we got you a little crow here.
We had them losing to the Saints, the Browns, and 1 to the Jets. Here's the deal. I will not apologize. I will not apologize for being too low on the Patriots this year. I won't do it because I'm the idiot that stood here in 2023 and predicted the Patriots to win 11 games because I projected every single thing to go right. I said, well, they got the offensive coordinator back, and I like what they're doing on offense, and I think Mac Jones will be better this year, and we'll see, more of what he did in 2021, and, Juju will be what he was with the Chiefs, and blah, 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 blah. And what I did, I projected everything going right, and everything went wrong, and they were terrible and won 4 games. And so this offseason, I looked at it and said, okay, well, You were the worst team in football last year. You won 3 games because I know you technically won 4, but you won 3 games last year. It's very difficult to turn things around at the drop of a hat, right? And yeah, we got Brig, we got Diggs, but who knows what he's going to look like. Mac Hollins is fine, but he's a depth receiver. Kayshon Boutte is a guy that, he flashed a little bit, but whatever. And then defensively, you're like, yeah, who knows what the heck the defense is going to look like, right? And so, did I think they were? I mean, I sat here all along saying 8 wins. They get to 8 wins, that'd be incredible, right? And people are talking about playoffs, and it's not. He said, guys, what are we talking about? They're not going to make it in the playoffs. 8 wins, it's fine. And they have 9 wins through 11 games. It's insane. The turnaround is incredible this year. It's been awesome. I'm hoping that they can keep this going and they kind of catch lightning in a bottle like they did in 01. And then what you saw from 01 to 03 was them add some more pieces, add some more draft picks, develop those guys, and you say, hey, now we have an actual chance. Now we have a really, really great team. And again, I mean, for God's sakes, Drake May's playing like the MVP of the league. Like, I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, and I think to me that's what it boils down to. And I think I had 7 wins, and I think that is 90%. I underestimated Drake May, and I say that as someone that had high expectations for Drake May. I thought we were going to see a lot of what we saw week 1 against the Raiders for the whole season. I thought it was going to be inconsistent, but with those flashes, and he'd put it together next year with a full year learning what Josh wanted him to do.
Yes.
I didn't think it would take him 1 game to be like, oh, I get this now, and I'm going to play at an MVP level.
Right.
So I'm very happy to be wrong here. I was 100% wrong, and it's because Drake May extended way higher than I expected. Fully willing to grow on that. And then the other part of this, I had said at one point, I think you can read too much into a schedule beforehand. I don't want to get too high or too low on like strength of schedule because teams change. And I remember saying the schedule can look a lot harder and it can look a lot easier when we get to play the actual games. And I just kind of erred, knowing that it's supposed to be an easy schedule. I just kind of erred on like, all right, it's probably going to end up being a little bit harder because somebody they play is going to end up being a little bit better than expected. And across the board, that has not happened. Like every team that we thought could be bad has been as bad or worse.
Correct. And like the Dolphins were a team that people thought could actually be good this year, and they've been horrendous. And so it's and who knows what's going to happen.
And the Jets. I mean, look at the Jets. The thing with the Jets this year was supposed to be defensive head coach, bringing back great defensive personnel. This defense should immediately go back to be like, this should be a top 10 defense, and the offense is probably going to be like 25th. But that means on a couple of good days, they're going to win some games. And unfortunately, the defense just fell off a cliff. Aaron Glenn's. He has not been a good head coach at all. And then actually you trade everyone, and Fields has been horrendous. And Fields has been about as bad as I thought he was going to be. The problem is I just thought there were going to be a lot of these games. Was it the Denver game? Which game they play overseas where the final score was like 13-10 or whatever?
God. Yeah.
I thought they were basically going to be playing that game like 12 times this season.
Right.
Yeah, and they probably split them because when every game's that close and that low scoring, you're just inevitably going to come out on the right side of some. That has not gone their way. For his credit, I thought Spencer Rattler played better than I expected. Like Rattler gave a really good performance against New England.
I don't know why they benched him, to be very honest with you. I mean, I know that Shuck is the rookie, but like. So what?
I'm guessing there was internal pressure on that. I'm not really sure. But Rather had a really good game that game against New England. Just that Drake May had, an exceptional one. And I think that's a lot of it. I thought we were going to get up and down Drake May, and it's basically just been up since week 1. And you combine that with a schedule that, in some places has projected as one of the 5 easiest schedules in NFL history. And I think we should be honest about the Patriots that their schedule has been very easy, and also honest that they have done very well against that schedule. And just because you play an easy schedule doesn't mean that you're not a good team just because you won the games.
Correct.
I think there's just going to be legitimate questions about, how high our ceiling is. But like if you beat Buffalo or Baltimore in the regular season there and you go 3-1 against the playoff teams you play, all right, well, you handle those teams well, and if you end up
Correct.
going 1-1 in the playoffs, like you're pretty happy with that,
Yeah.
given everything
Yep.
else. Like
I
you've
agree.
acquitted yourself well against quality teams, and you were a good team, and you have something to build off of. So, yeah, I think I've been wrong on a lot of the things I said this offseason, and I'm happy to be. It's mostly been guys breaking out quicker than we thought.
And those are all great things. And we didn't even really talk about Travion Henderson. And it's funny.
Breakout game for him this week, yeah.
Another one. It's funny because when you look at the numbers, they look gaudy because he's got 3 touchdowns. And of course he's got, the whatever, but it's like the running was not good.
No.
I mean, he was 3 yards a carry, whatever. But he ran hard near the goal line.
What I liked about him was just using him as a receiver, and like the play where he catches the touchdown isn't exceptional, and that's something Ramondre Stevenson can do as well. But it's the fact that they're actually using him that way. They're trusting him in that role, and they're giving him those opportunities, which is awesome. And when Ramondre Stevenson comes back, I think you still probably want to split between the two just to keep them fresh. But Henderson has the home run ability that Ramondre just does not.
Correct.
Right now, and that kind of ends up being your difference. Like this line's not great. You're gonna have a lot of runs that are gonna go for 2 yards and nowhere. On the 2 or 3 plays of the game where you block it well enough to get something really good out of it, you want Henderson to be the one taking the ball because he's gonna maximize that.
I agree. And ultimately, you need Ramondre because you need someone to spell Travion. You can't. I don't know. You can't just give the ball to Travion. He's just not that kind of guy. But we'll see.
When I think like Ramondre Stevenson is probably a little bit underrated as a receiver. Like he's super solid as a receiver, 41 check down stuff. He's a good blocker. He's not flashy as a runner, but as long as he isn't putting the ball on the ground,
that's okay.
He's solid. He's a B- running back for you.
Right.
And that's fine. And I think Henderson is still growing, and he's not a guy who you like. He's never been the bell cow guy, even at Ohio State. He should be part of a committee to maximize what he does best, keep those legs fresh.
I agree. Also, TD is saying that there's some smoke about McDaniels to the Giants. I can't imagine it. It could happen. I can't imagine it. He has said publicly he wants to be in New England. Now, I know the Giants is pretty close, but I don't understand why someone would give him another chance at head coach. I also think for him, he's in a great situation right now. Just keep this situation and keep Spagnuolo was interesting too. Spags in Kansas City, he's not a good head coach. I think he knows he's not a good head coach. So why not just be the best defensive coordinator in the NFL? Just do that with an awesome team. Josh McDaniels isn't a good head coach. So you know what you could do? You could be an awesome offensive coordinator for the rest of your career with Drake May, who could be, the next superstar quarterback. And so I just, anything could happen. I just feel like it's kind of silly to move on from him, from there. So, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. You know what I want to do one of these days? I want to do a deep dive into that 2011 St. Louis Rams team. The fact that 4 years after Super Bowl 42, where you've got the 07 Patriots with the best offense in football history, coordinated by Josh McDaniels, that gets shut down by Steve Spagnuolo with that defensive performance. Yep. You've got the 2 of them coaching on the same team together, and they win 2 games?
Yeah, horrendous. Just a horrendous team.
And I looked into that team a little bit. It is funny. You look at the number of offensive players on the 2011 Rams that would later play for the Patriots, Michael Omenawinui.
Yeah,
is on that Rams team.
Yep,
that's where that comes from. There's another random wide receiver who I don't think ever made camp with the Patriots, but came. Danny Amendola, Brandon Lloyd is someone.
Yep.
Who did we talk about Kayshon Boutte comparisons on here? By the way.
Not really, but Lloyd's a good one.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say this. I started writing an article about this, and then concussed myself on a freezer door and I forgot to finish the thought. But I did a deep dive into like Kayshon Boutte's like profile as a receiver and who he compares to. And the short answer is that when you look at guys who are deep threats without getting any yards after the catch, who are also like, I don't know, like X receivers, they just don't exist. Like this is just like, because it's usually that guy is also like AJ Brown or Calvin Johnson, and it's like, well, they're used everywhere, so they don't show up like this. Their average depth of target's shorter because they're getting every throw.
Yeah.
So it's like he's a deep threat who isn't fast. It's a deep threat possession receiver is essentially what Kayshon Boutte has been for the Patriots this season. And when you look at his statistical profile over the last like 15 years, who he compares to, the closest comparison I think you can make, the best comparison, is Brandon Lloyd in the Josh McDaniels offense. And I think that's really funny to look at.
That is funny. Also, Jared Goff has been absolutely dreadful tonight.
And just 14 of 33 tonight.
Now 14 of 34. He's just been, and they've knocked down some of his passes and stuff, but he's had wide open guys and he's just missed them. I don't know if it's because he's wearing the second glove because it's colder. I don't know what it is, but he has been awful. And this,
I don't think outdoor Jared Goff is a thing.
Well, that's the thing. That's the real issue, is that, you know, they're outdoors. It's chilly out. He's got guys wide open. Jahmyr Gibbs is getting open. Jahmyr Gibbs is making plays. James Williams has been open, and he just can't get it to him. And it's bad. It's been really bad. I mean, right there, that last play, he had Gibbs. I mean, Nakobe Dean did a nice job covering him, but he's got a step, and he just can't put it in there. And you know, he's been awful, and they're punting down 10 with 5 minutes left to go. Right? I don't get it. They've gone for it on fourth down a billion times and haven't converted it once. And now with 5 minutes left, they're punting it. That's incredible.
When I look at a performance like this, we go back to those projected standings, projected playoffs I mentioned before. That would indicate a Lions at Eagles divisional round game.
Yeah.
Well, the way this has gone, you have to think that's the Eagles.
Oh, the Lions are losing that game.
Which means the NFC Championship game is either going to be Eagles at Rams, or like Tampa or Seattle pulling an upset and then heading to Philly, in which case I kind of feel like it's Philly going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
I do wonder, the Bears, they're technically atop the NFC North right now. I don't think they're going to – I don't think they're actually as good as their record.
No, but you know, they're playing well.
Yeah, they play at the Eagles and at the Packers next couple weeks. So those will be good barometers for them.
Yeah.
You know what team I mentioned this off air. What team sneakily might end up making a run to just look way better than people expected them to be like a month ago is Miami. Because the Dolphins we're not far removed at all from the Dolphins we're a month removed from the Dolphins being a 1-6 team that just got walloped by the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Since that game, they've won 3 out of 4, including killing the Falcons on the road and beating the Bills, and they just beat the Commanders. And they have a bye, and they're 2 coming out of the bye are home against the Saints and at the Jets. If they win both of those, suddenly they are 6-7 and winners of 5 of 6, going into a Monday night game at the Steelers in mid-December.
Right.
Does that result in a game where like all of a sudden that has juice, and if the Dolphins win it, they are 7-7 with 3 to play?
The problem is that they're not going to go into Pittsburgh and win. They're just not going to.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers is hurt,
maybe, but outdoors in the cold.
I don't think so either. But it's just like, we're actually not. And here's the thing: they also have to beat the Saints and the Jets. Which, if they play the way they've played, I think both of those are 50-50 bets.
True.
They already lost to the Jets at home earlier. Oh, no, sorry, no, they beat the Jets. Okay, so they get to beat the Jets.
Yeah.
They beat the Falcons. So they could, on the road, they could in theory beat the Saints at home. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And then they also still have the Bengals. That how funny would that be? Because they play the Bengals the same week the Patriots play the Ravens, and that's a Sunday night game right now. And how funny would it be if the Dolphins end up making enough of a run over the next couple of weeks that the Patriots Ravens game doesn't get flexed? They decide to leave Dolphins Bengals in primetime.
Yeah.
They shouldn't. That'd be awful to see.
No, I agree, but
Miami's not
know.
good. I want to be
That's
clear.
correct.
Miami's not good. But the schedule is incredibly easy, and there's a world where they accidentally win too many games down the stretch here and finish like 7-10.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Have like the 12th pick.
Also, the Pat Stats mentioned the Falcons might be done. They don't have their first round pick, so the Rams currently hold the 8th pick in the draft this year.
Yeah, and if it
what
like
a trade! What a trade!
The Rams could win the Super Bowl and have a top 5 pick.
Yeah. Yep. Insane. Absolutely insane. So, anyways, all right. But you all said I got nothing else. Yeah,
I think I'm good over here.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. We'll be back Thursday night talking about this Patriots game this weekend. Should be a win. Might be Drake May's first career 300-yard passing game. You never know. But
might be no Jamar Chase.
It kind of looks like it's gonna be no Jamar Chase. They have precedent now. I don't know how you cannot suspend him for a game. I just don't know how you can. So, also James is wondering about your cat.
Yeah, this hat should be plural because we do have 2.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Willow, the girl who you may have seen on this show before, she's the one that likes to come up on my lap and talk into the microphone. She was in here previously, but she's left. Frank has been asleep all night long. I will say we have somehow adopted one of the few cats that really enjoys belly rubs.
Look at that.
Frank's a huge belly rubs guy. He'll like curl up on your lap, and if you just like stick your hand like inside where he's curled and start rubbing his belly, he like turns himself, like rotates his body so he's still like in a circle, but his belly is facing out just so you can rub it.
I love it. I love it. It's great.
There's your cat update.
And
I'm sure they're counting down the days until we put up a Christmas tree and they can chew through another thing of Christmas lights. We're 2 for 2 on that so far since getting them. Hopefully we don't go 3 for 3.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's that. So, look at that. His cat goes for belly rubs too on the desk in front of the screen. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Love it.
So, all right. That's it. We'll talk to you on Thursday night. Be good to each other and go Pats.